Farm Arena on November 11th, Migos rappers Offset and Quavo have finally shared a message for Takeoff. Here is what Offset said.
Change the culture of music forever. You did that, Take. You changed that flow. That flow came from Take, the originator. He the originator of that flow. He changed the music. Lord, give us the strength. Just give us the strength, the family, everybody, give us some strength. I don't want to question you, God, but I don't get it. I don't get you sometimes. And I believe in you, Father. Change the culture of music forever. You did it, Take.
This then led into Quavo's message as it relates to also how Takeoff truly passed away, which I will share later in the video. Quavo says,
"You always with me, and we did everything together. Since we was kids, you been by my side, looking up at me with them eyes, same eyes you got as my sister. Waiting on me to make the next move, then you followed up right behind me. You always made sure I did it first, so you can do it right with me. You never competed with me. We was always on the same team because you hated playing against me because I always played too hard or too rough. And I can hear mama saying, not too rough, son. Remember our first dream was to be tag team partners in the WWE. We fell in love with WWE wrestling. We had every..."
Now during Quavo's message, he states, and I quote, "Takeoff's super quiet though, quietest in the room, but paid attention to everything going on in the room. He's always been like that. Nothing ever really bothered Take, and he didn't bother anybody." Now remember that part of the message, as I will now share how Takeoff truly passed away. Now shortly after Offset and Quavo spoke out about Takeoff, new evidence was released in the court case of his passing, as the police have now gathered so much new evidence in the case involving witness statements, new camera angles, and allegedly clear footage of who did it. Now typically during a case such as this, the police will use a tactic of building a portfolio of evidence based on the perspective of somebody that was at the scene. Quavo's perspective of the night shares an entirely new look on how he truly passed. Now it all starts on Halloween night. Quavo, alongside Takeoff, met up with a driver for their vehicle, as well as another man named Migo Bands. Now Migo Bands is one of two suspects in the case of Takeoff's passing. Instagram stories piece together a day of events for these four individuals. The night starts with Quavo and Takeoff being invited by J Prince Jr. to attend his Halloween event in Houston, Texas. Once arriving to the event, Quavo and Takeoff were seen performing a few songs at the get-together. After their performance was complete, they were then seen relaxing at an after-party room with music industry people as well as businessmen. Now while at this after-party, here's where we meet suspect number 2. This suspect's name is Cam. As Cam is known for many street-related acts in Atlanta, he was located at the party by Quavo. Now here's a picture of Quavo giving Cam a very ugly look at the beginning of the night. It almost seemed as if Quavo knew that Cam was going to be up to something no good. Cam is wearing a yellow sweater this entire night. It's important to remember that as well. Now after the after party was complete, Quavo, Takeoff, and Migo Bands were seen walking through a shopping center in Houston, Texas, alongside a lump of 50 people that were also invited at the event by J Prince Jr. Now inside of the shopping center is a bowling alley called 810 Billiards and Bowling Houston. With 50 people standing around this location, 4 to 6 people were taking turns playing each other in games of dice in exchange for cash. Reports state that rapper Quavo was one of the 50 men playing dice, but that is false, as Quavo was just a bystander minding his own business and watching. While watching people play dice, a man is seen then walking up to Quavo. This mystery man, who still remains nameless, starts calling Quavo many names. This then led into the man mocking the way Quavo was playing during a celebrity basketball game just a few weeks ago. Quavo is then seen on video footage arguing back and forth with this individual, as this guy was not letting up. Quavo is then seen saying, "Man, I don't care about no basketball game." At this current time, as Quavo was seen arguing and being very aggressive, everybody in that area was pulling out their cell phones. With everybody recording in that area now, Cam, in the yellow sweater, is then seen walking up to Quavo, and he ends up standing right beside Quavo, as well as the other man he's arguing with. With the yelling starting to escalate, Migo Bands is then seen walking towards the group of 50 people as he's trying to find Quavo, as he heard him yelling from across the mall. Now you can tell this is Migo Bands from the shirt he's wearing, the Gucci bag, single chain, as well as his snapback hat. Now he was wearing these exact items earlier in the vehicle as seen on Instagram stories. With this all going down, Takeoff, who was allegedly 4 to 6 feet away from Quavo, he was paying attention, but he wasn't really doing much. He was just kind of minding his own business. Now with Quavo being done arguing with this man, he begins walking away from the individual. Once Quavo turns his back, new camera footage revealed that the man he was arguing with then tries swinging towards Quavo while his back was turned. With Takeoff witnessing that motion, he then takes 2 steps forward to give Quavo backup, and this is where surveillance footage then caught Cam in the yellow sweater pulling a firearm from out of his big pocket in his hoodie, and with Cam pulling up his firearm, Migo Bands is then seen pulling his firearm from out of his jeans pocket as he was already kind of pulling it out a few seconds prior. As of this current moment, it's unknown who used their firearm first between Cam and Migo Bands. But firearms were used allegedly 10 times in the area, and Takeoff was sadly hit by allegedly both Cam and Migo Bands. As eyewitnesses at the scene claim that Migo Bands accidentally hit Takeoff, as a witness claims he literally watched it happen. Now with the sounds of firearms being used, the 50 lump sum of people all started sprinting away, ducking for cover and sprinting from out of the mall. They wanted nothing to do with this area. Meanwhile, Takeoff is sadly seen on the floor of the mall with Quavo right by his side the whole time. Now I can't stress this enough, as people are blaming Quavo for Takeoff's passing. With the firearms being used, people running from out of the mall, and Takeoff being on the ground, Quavo did not leave his side once. He stood his own ground. He didn't even run when the firearms were being used, as he knows Takeoff was affected. He didn't flinch or attempt to leave. He stood there with him all the way until the end. Now, police then quickly arrived to the scene. They cleared the area and tried everything to help, but it was just sadly too late. Now this actually connects to what a witness posted about what they saw. A female named Elizabeth was at the scene and spoke about the incident the exact way Quavo did during his message earlier in the video. Now she was at the mall, she was with a group of friends that were invited to this little get together, and she was standing beside Takeoff just a few minutes before it occurred. Now she tweeted this just hours after the incident. I'ma speak on this because I feel like I have to. I was right there next to Takeoff. They wasn't arguing about the dice game. Quavo was pressed and Takeoff was hit by strays as firearms were used for no reason. Rest in peace Takeoff. He didn't deserve that. He was to himself the whole night. Now notice earlier how Quavo mentioned in his last message to Takeoff that he is always quiet, he's to himself, and he knows what is usually happening in the area. This is the same thing as described by the eyewitness at the scene. Now this tweet had text messages attached to it. People are assuming it was from her boyfriend that was playing dice in the pile of people, but I cannot confirm that. But the text messages read, and I quote, "Firearms just started ringing, but they were coming from somebody the Migos was with. But he was using his firearm wild, and he hit Takeoff on accident. Then the other people started using their firearms back, and I think he got hit again. But ultimately, his own guys did it to him, because when he first got hit, I saw it. Quavo was mad over some small stuff. It really wasn't worth it. Takeoff was the coolest and quietest guy in that room the whole time. He didn't say a word, just chilling in the cut. He didn't even know what was going on. He just jumped and got it." Now notice in that statement from an eyewitness, it states that Takeoff was first affected by somebody he was with. Earlier in the video, I shared evidence of Migo Bands, the guy Takeoff was with the whole night, pulling out a firearm. And then later it reads that the guys they were going against also could have hit Takeoff, which then would have been Cam. Now, once news started spreading that Takeoff sadly passed, we saw many rappers react to it on Instagram. Here's a clip of Boosie's reaction.
R.I.P. Takeoff, bro. Shaking my head, man. Humble. That music syndicate won't show QC, all the family. We sending some prayers and love for y'all. All Takeoff family, Quavo, Offset, all y'all. That music syndicate won't, send their prayers out. His rap whack, bro. I ain't lying. We targets now, bro. We used to be heroes, Everybody want us out of here, bro. R.I.P. Takeoff.
We then even saw Master P post his reaction on his Instagram.
And hip hop is too young. Rest in peace to Takeoff. My condolences goes out to Takeoff family, Quavo, man, all my soldiers and soldier reps. Hip hop has turned to the new streets. We used to be in the streets trying to get into hip hop, which is crazy. When you walk out your house, tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know who might not come